There's a moment in nature that has terrified humans for thousands of years. A forest full of sound suddenly becomes silent. No warning, no gradual fade. 1 second birds are singing everywhere, and the next, nothing. Complete silence. Hunters feared it. Ancient tribes respected it. Even today, hikers describe the feeling as deeply unsettling, like the world itself is holding its breath. Because birds do not become silent for no reason. Something changes first. A predator enters the area. The storm approaches from miles away. Pressure shifts in the atmosphere. Vibrations move through the ground. Birds react before humans even realize something is wrong. Their silence is not random. It is survival. And maybe the most disturbing part is this. Nature almost always knows before we do. Scientists have studied this phenomenon for years. Certain birds can detect tiny environmental changes humans cannot sense. Some react to low-frequency vibrations before earthquakes. Others notice magnetic shifts in the atmosphere before storms. Entire flocks can stop singing moments before danger appears. It's like the forest shares information through invisible signals. One bird senses something, then another reacts. Then suddenly, the entire environment changes behavior together. The silence spreads like a warning through the trees. And once you understand this, you begin to realize something uncomfortable about humans. We receive warnings too, not from forests, but from life itself. A strange feeling before betrayal, emotional exhaustion before burnout, anxiety before collapse. But unlike birds, humans are experts at ignoring danger until it's standing directly in front of them. There's a reason sudden silence feels wrong inside your body. For thousands of years, constant bird sounds meant safety to human beings. If birds were singing, predators were likely absent. The environment was stable. Food and water were nearby. But silence meant danger. Your nervous system still carries that ancient memory. That's why an unnaturally quiet forest can make your heart race, even if you don't consciously understand why. Your body remembers something older than language itself. And the more scientists discover about birds, the stranger this becomes. Ravens solve complex puzzles. Crows recognize human faces for years. Migratory birds navigate entire continents using Earth's magnetic field. Some species even have different warning calls depending on the type of threat approaching. A hawk triggers one sound. A snake triggers another. Survival through awareness. Survival through attention. Modern humans live the opposite way. Most people are surrounded by endless noise every second of the day. Notifications, screens, traffic, music, content. Distraction has become permanent. And because of that, many people no longer hear the subtle warnings inside their own lives. They ignore emotional exhaustion until their minds collapse. Ignore toxic relationships until the damage becomes irreversible. Ignore instincts because instincts interrupt comfort. Birds survive because they react early. Humans often wait until reality becomes impossible to escape. That's why the silence of birds feels symbolic. Somewhere deep inside, it reminds us of something we lost. Awareness. During World War II, soldiers hidden inside forests often described how birds stopped singing moments before attacks began. The forest reacted before the humans did. Veterans later admitted they learned to trust those signals. Think about that. In moments where survival mattered most, instinct became more valuable than logic. And maybe modern society disconnected people from instinct because instinct forces difficult truths. It tells you when something feels wrong, when a place drains your energy, when a person cannot be trusted. But today people are taught to suppress discomfort and keep moving no matter what. Keep producing, keep consuming, keep distracting yourself, even when something deep inside already senses the storm approaching. But there's another side to this mystery. Birds do not only become silent because of danger. Sometimes they fall silent during moments of transition. Dawn, dusk, changes in light. Scientists call it the evening hush. Certain species suddenly stop singing together as the environment shifts around them. It's almost as if nature pauses for a moment to listen. And maybe humans experience something similar during major changes in life. Moments where everything becomes quiet inside your mind. Moments where old identities stop making sense where the noise disappears and uncertainty takes over. Most people panic during those moments because silence feels empty, but silence is not always destruction. Sometimes silence is preparation. Sometimes it's awareness. Sometimes it's transformation beginning quietly before the world can see it. And maybe that's the deeper lesson hidden inside the silence of birds. The creatures most connected to survival understand something humans forgot long ago. Not every moment is meant for noise. Sometimes the smartest thing a living being can do is become completely still and listen. There are places on Earth where silence feels unnatural. Deep forests where the wind barely moves. Mountains so empty they almost seem frozen in time. Oceans so still they look like black glass under the night sky. And in those places, when birds suddenly stop singing, experienced people pay attention immediately. Hunters pause. Explorers become alert. Indigenous tribes have passed down warnings about this for generations because nature rarely screams before danger arrives. First, it becomes quiet. Scientists discovered that many animals live through constant awareness of their environment. Birds especially are connected to tiny changes humans barely notice. Some can sense shifts in air pressure before storms appear. Others react to vibrations traveling through the ground before earthquakes happen. Entire flocks may suddenly become silent because something invisible changed around them first. A predator moving nearby, a disturbance in the atmosphere, a signal spreading silently through nature itself. And the terrifying part is that humans used to live this way too. Ancient people survived because they paid attention to subtle changes. A broken branch in the dark, a strange movement in the trees, a sudden silence among birds. Awareness meant survival. But modern life slowly disconnected people from those instincts. Today, distraction is constant. Most people wake up already surrounded by noise, phones, notifications, videos, endless stimulation. And because of that, many can no longer hear the warnings inside their own lives. Relationships begin collapsing long before the breakup happens. Burnout starts long before the breakdown. Depression often arrives quietly before it becomes impossible to hide. Life gives signals, but humans are experts at ignoring discomfort until reality forces them to stop. Birds react immediately. Humans delay truth. Maybe that's why the silence of birds feels so unsettling. Somewhere deep inside, your nervous system still recognizes it as a message. Something changed. Something is wrong. There are stories from sailors centuries ago who feared silence more than storms themselves. They noticed seabirds disappearing from the sky hours before violent weather arrived. Experienced captains understood the meaning immediately. Leave now, or risk dying here. Birds became part of nature's warning system. Living sensors connected to forces humans barely understood. Even now, pilots and researchers study bird behavior around extreme weather because birds often react before machines detect danger. Imagine that. Tiny creatures sensing invisible disturbances across entire environments while humans remain unaware. It forces an uncomfortable question. Maybe intelligence is not only about technology. Maybe real intelligence is staying connected to reality itself. And perhaps humans lost that connection. People ignore exhaustion because productivity matters more than peace. Ignore intuition because logic feels safer. Ignore emotional numbness because distraction makes it easier not to think too deeply. But instinct exists for a reason. Birds survive because they trust it. A deer survives because it reacts before seeing the predator clearly. Nature never waits for absolute certainty. It responds early. Humans often do the opposite. They stay in toxic environments too long, stay in destructive habits too long, stay around people who quietly destroy them emotionally. Not because the warning signs were absent, but because facing them would require uncomfortable change. During war, soldiers hiding in forests often described moments when birds stopped singing before attacks began. The silence spread through the trees before enemy movement became visible. Veterans later admitted they learned to trust those moments deeply, because instinct notices patterns before conscious thought catches up. And maybe modern people underestimate intuition because modern society trains them to constantly override it, to keep moving no matter what, keep working, keep scrolling, keep distracting yourself, even when something inside already knows the storm is coming. But silence in nature is not always fear. Sometimes birds become quiet during moments of transition. Dawn, dusk, shifts between light and darkness. Scientists call it the evening hush. Certain species suddenly stop singing together as the environment changes around them, almost like nature itself pauses for a moment to listen. And maybe humans experience similar moments too, times where life suddenly feels quiet inside. Old goals stop making sense. Old identities begin fading. Everything feels uncertain and strangely still. Most people panic during those moments because silence feels empty. But silence is not always collapse. Sometimes silence is transformation beginning. That may be the deeper meaning behind this strange phenomenon. Birds understand something humans forgot. Constant noise is not strength. Awareness is, stillness is, listening is. In a world addicted to endless distraction, the creatures most connected to survival know exactly when to stop making noise completely. And maybe that is why the silence of birds affects people so deeply. Somewhere inside you, something ancient still recognizes the message. Before major change arrives, before danger becomes visible, before the storm finally appears, the world often becomes silent first.